Tech is leading the market higher thanks to Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Apple's earnings. Meta's earnings didn't necessarily help the equation, and instead it got smoked throughout this week. However, ever since Microsoft earnings, it's done nothing but sell off. So is there a bounce coming next week? Only time will tell. Also, Meta spending time underneath the 200 EMA. Is that a short coming up next week? Not sure. We'll look at the chart and see what we can find out. Welcome to the weekly preparation. We got 10 minutes to go over and prepare, so follow along. First, we'll start at the SPY. You can see we closed the week up 0.71%. We do have a little bit of a topping tail. However, we have moved a decent amount from the lows from this first green candle. Low to high, we moved about 5.5%. So a little bit of chop or a little bit of basing or digestion of this move would not harm anybody. You can see that we broke out of this pattern here, started trending up. We made a higher high, and this is a potential higher low versus this area here. The moving averages are trending up. Trend is your friend. We are bullish at this point in time. However, if you look at the equally weighted RSP, this is really chopping and doing nothing. So really, again, with how much weight tech has on the SPY and also the NASDAQ, that's why we should focus there, right? So we can see NASDAQ NDX broke out. It has had a monster move from last Thursday to the peak. It's made a 5.5% move from there. So again, a little bit of digestion wouldn't hurt anybody. We do have some gaps that will potentially fill here, but we shall see. Let's move on to sectors that are potentially in play this week. XLB could be a potential support play. So if you play this and pay attention to this, these are your top 3 names up here. Go ahead and pause the video, type those in, and go look at the charts. XLC, communications, top 3 names. Netflix, which is kind of getting hit right now. Meta, also getting hit right now. And then Google is the strongest of them all. So Meta and Netflix are kind of dragging XLC down. I think it's more important to focus on Google in itself. And then, of course, we just looked at tech. You can see tech made a huge move, a little bit of give back, maybe touch the 8 EMA, potentially the 20. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to kind of maybe create a base, another price correction, or potentially a time correction to set up for more long-term plays. And for the Bitcoin lovers out here, we have Bitcoin basically doing nothing, right? It's just ranging. It's still holding this, let's just say 104,000 level here, staying around 110. It's not doing very much right now. It's just ranging. Let's move on to the actual heavyweights. First, we have Microsoft. So Microsoft is interesting. It had earnings on Tuesday, and you can see it's done nothing but sell off since then. It already filled all of the gaps. I was looking for a potential long here, but it didn't give me my intraday signals, so I wasn't going to enter. Now, if we go from high to low, it's already pulled back a good 7% from earnings. I am looking again for this 520 level to hold. So I do think this is a potential higher low versus here, and it's going to continue higher. It basically gapped into prior all-time highs. So we shouldn't be surprised we had some supply here. Let's go to NVIDIA. NVIDIA had a monster move. Again, getting a little bit of pullback, especially after this multi-month breakout here. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's extended from the 8 EMA. We need to let things either price or time correct and chop. So I do think NVIDIA is a potential entry this week. We don't really have to worry about earnings until Wednesday the 19th. So that is certainly in play next week. Apple had earnings on Thursday PM. Today was day 1 after earnings. I won't touch this until Tuesday. It'll probably come back, maybe chop around and potentially continue higher. I'm hearing mixed things about Apple and iPhones and selling. So I think this needs some time. However, if you just look, trend is our friend. The trend is up. Amazon, very nice earnings, huge earnings gap. I won't touch this again until at least Tuesday, potentially Wednesday. I want to see how much of this gap fills. If all, great, that's perfectly fine. This could be dead just like the prior Microsoft earnings, where it gapped up, sold off, filled, and did nothing basically until this earnings. So Amazon, we'll see how that works out. It did gap into all-time highs, and it's overall looking pretty good. Let's go to Broadcom. Broadcom broke out here. Now it's pulling back and kind of retesting that area, tagging the 8 EMA. I do think Broadcom is in play for a potential long next week. Meta, we're looking at it underneath the 200 EMA, big bearish engulfing candle. It didn't technically take out the high, but you can see that it's bearish engulfing. It's sold at its lows. It's down 12% on the weekly. We have some gaps here that we could potentially fill around 622 to 606. That would be about a 22.5% pullback from all-time highs. I'm not interested in longing this. There's a potential short, in my opinion. It could base and turn around. Either way, I think it's broken for a little bit of time, unless something crazy happens. Netflix, I have been waiting to short this. It got hit on earnings. It hasn't even really tested the earnings gap yet. Maybe today was that attempt on the news of the stock split. However, it's just chopping around the 200 EMA. You can see it's at prior support. If this breaks, I could see it potentially going to about $1,000, maybe 22.5 to 25% off of all-time highs. Moving on to Tesla. I entered Tesla today. I took one trade. It failed. The trade setup propped up again, and I took it. So I am swinging this into next week. I love the base. I love the test of the prior high, pulled back, potential higher low here versus here. So I'm holding a position for the potential breakout. All-time highs is only 6.5% away. This name can move that easily. Moving on to Google. Google monster earnings, did great. Still has a gap here from 276-ish to 274-ish. Maybe it price corrects, a little bit of time correction, letting the short-term MAs catch up. I think this continues on upwards. Crowd, I had a very nice trade in Crowd this week. I think this breaks to the upside depending on when it breaks this formation pattern here. Either way, I am also looking for a potential entry in Crowd this week as well. If you look at the weekly, it just broke out last week. Now it's just holding on to it and kind of digesting that move. Let's move on to now. Honestly, you can skip it. It's digesting the earnings. It's a mess. Let's just move forward. Palantir broke out to all-time highs this week. Looks good, looks strong. The only unfortunate thing is it did so right before earnings on Monday evening. So I will not touch this until then. I might take a day trade if something sets up on Palantir. However, this is a very strong name. It has a nice rounding bottom, then a flat base here, and it just broke out. I'm in this long term, so I'm making money on it. I'm just not trading it probably until next week, middle or potentially end of next week. And then we also have Robinhood earnings on Wednesday p.m. I was looking for a pullback buy today. After yesterday, I didn't want to buy it because I felt like I was catching a falling knife. It could have been actually it was a nice risk opportunity against this gap. I still decided not to take it, but it made a 6.5% move today. Very strong stock. We do have, we're only 4.5% away from these highs. So we do have that potential supply here. I would expect maybe a tag and a little consolidation and then a breakout. However, earnings is right in the middle of next week. So if you get into it, or if I get into it, I would get out on for sure by Wednesday, as I do not hold through earnings for any stock or any name. Good luck this week. I hope these 10-minute videos, preparation next week's, are helpful. Like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. I would be glad to help out. Otherwise, trade well next week, stay prepared, and execute your plan. Take care. Trade well.